Hit it at your mother's backhand is pretty weak.
Yes. Joan, I'm sorry.
Okay. Your mom and I, we're going to separate. I've got you Tuesday, Wednesday, and every other Thursday.
What about the cat? The cat?
We didn't discuss the cat. I've got an elegant new house across the park. It's an elegant block, the filet of the neighborhood.
Here's a desk for you to do your homework.
Dad, this is for a lefty.
I've come by to tell you I'm not staying here anymore.
Why?
Because you cheated on Dad.
Your father told you.
Under our noses, like a brothel, men coming in and out.
You sound like your father.
I've never had an affair with a student, though many have come on to me. That's why you might not want to be attached to your age.
When am I going to meet Sophie?
She's not gorgeous, but she's cute.
Did you like Sophie?
She's not the type I go for.
Lily is pretty.
Hello, I'm Thomas Carruthers.
What's up, brother? I'm Rhian
Right.
Holmes.
Good start. This should be the start of a new series, but I stupidly told you the wrong movie. So this is the second episode in our Baumbachinal. And
I'm really hoping it's caught on by now.
after the second that you think kicking your
Yeah,
screaming,
well, the first use of Baumbachinal is bound to stump people, but I feel like the second one, they'll be like, okay, I'm on
Yeah.
board.
I mean, we're doing a Baumbachinal, even though we've already done his best film. So in that sense, it's
This
kind
is
of
true.
not redundant, but anyway. And as you've illuminated to me prior to the podcast, I don't think this is going to be a fun series at all. And it
No,
may
you were
be...
the one who said that because, well, you said that this one was your second favorite right out the gate.
I think it's less so,
So
my
it's all
second
downhill
favorite.
from here.
Yeah, it is my second favorite, but I also think it's his second best. Like, I know they are two different objective things, but I genuinely do think this is his second best film.
Oh, I have tons of favorite films that I know are objectively bad.
Yeah. The Squid and the Whale. All of this started because one of our shared favorite films is a Noah Baumbach written and directed semi-autobiographical divorce drama with people that you like in it and a heavy bend on comedy and personal tragedy. And yet you found The Squid and the Whale. What did you give it? 4 out of 10 or something outrageous?
No, I gave it a 3 out of 5, which is a 6 out of 10. So I feel like that is being very generous. I mean, this is one of his seminal classics. Seminal.
Oh, very good. Very good. Very good.
Obviously had a big influence on Marriage Story later on. Do you know what it was? I think I took a very similar journey with this one as I did with Marriage Story, in that the first watch was like face behind my eyes, like painful.
Have you watched
The
it twice?
second time, well, yeah, because I didn't take any notes the first time.
And it just flies by.
It does. But yeah, the second time I was kind of leaning more into like okay, this is meant to be a comedy, so I'm going to treat it as such. And then I had like a marginally better time. But it was just that first, there's just a lot going on.
Tell me what your problem is with the film.
Well, I think,
Can you
I am going to draw
surmise
a
it?
lot of,
I mean, you're going
Yeah.
to talk a lot, but can you surmise it, do you think, down to a sentence?
do you know what it is? I was uncomfortable by it, but I think that's 100% by design. I don't think that is me saying this is a bad film because I didn't enjoy myself. And I think I'm going to draw a lot of parallels to Marriage Story along the way, but I'll just get this one out of the way. I think it being through the perspective of the kids largely makes such a difference, because like in Marriage Story you have a lot of empathy for like
Henry?
no
Charlie.
Nicole and Charlie. Thank you. You have a lot of empathy for both sides, and you can see like the levity and like the humor in them just literally trying to make it work. And the humor that comes along with like Henry being difficult, for example, because
Just get
he's
the
not
fucking
really,
car.
yeah,
Henry.
and like he's not really at an age where he's developed like a fully fledged personality, and like he's not like
We see some developing in this film of young Frank.
we do see some developing, and yeah, I think that is what makes it more painful, I guess, and more like high stakes in that you can literally see the knock-on effect this is having on both sons, and you just go through the whole thing. I mean, on my first watch particularly, I was just like, how are we going to uncorrupt these men? Like, they are so doomed.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? Charlie, again, we can talk about this at length. Both films are semi-autobiographical, and in this, well, no, actually, I completely disagree. I think he gives Charlie a really hard go, and I think he gives Jesse Eisenberg what's he called? Jesse Eisenberg is called
Walt.
Walt. It gives Walt.
You're being a shit, Walt. Because he is being a shit.
Yeah.
And I like that about Baumbach, is that he doesn't shy away from showing the ugliness of characters. Like, as much as I said, I think very early on with Marriage Story, I was like, oh, trust him to like gloss over the Charlie cheating plot line. But it's like, actually, no, you see everything at very much face value from both sides. And I think you see the same with Squid and the Whale. I mean, me surmising that Bernard is an absolute twat.
Oh, he's
I think it's just me being presented with the facts.
No,
with the case.
He's an awful
I don't
man.
think it's skewed in any one direction. I think it's everyone individually processing this hardship in their own way.
I think Laura Linney gets off. Well, no, she doesn't get off easiest, because in another movie, like where Bernard isn't so awful, you would find her cheating more reprehensible. But you're immediately put into a position where you're like, fuck whoever you want, leave this guy. And but especially with Billy Baldwin.
I think at the same time, you can kind of see it from both sides when they have that little doorway exchange where she's like, I'd prefer if you didn't talk to him about it. And it's like, on the one hand, you're thinking, well, he can do what he wants. Like, you're like the one that has committed the act, like in, obviously like being the catalyst of splitting up the family. But also you're like, you go, girl. Like, do you want?
I mean, is there a better moment in Laura? There is, because the greatest moment in Laura Linney's career will always be, why don't you try this new cocoa drink, fresh on the mountains of Colombia? Who are you talking to? Is one of the great moments of all time. And I've really been on a Laura Linney kick, because we did Primal Fear and Janet Venable, all-timer woman, just full stop. I then watched Truman Show for the first time with because my sister's boyfriend hadn't seen it, and now rewatching Squid and the Whale, and I adore Laura Linney. Where do you want to start? Let's just start like normal. You've still not said anything actually negative, because Zone of Interest and Schindler's List makes me feel uncomfortable. They're still 10 out of 10. You've not actually said anything. I mean, everybody's different.
Well, we'll get to. I mean, I have one What's the Change, which we've already spoken about.
And that knocks off a whole 4 points.
I guess, yeah. I mean,
everybody's different. That's fine. No, everybody's different. I'm very. It's, to be honest with you, I'm coming in like a bulldozer, because this past watch, I was like, this is in my top 30 favorite films of all time. I forgot how every single line, every single scene is pitch perfect. I love it.
It is very well constructed, and I think I appreciated that more the second time around, of like just the little mirroring moments of dialogue and like the kind of parroting of different people, and like literally showing like the two influences, like the matriarch and the patriarch,
I mean,
So,
this
like, yeah,
isn't a subtle movie. It opens with young Frank saying, "Mum and me versus you and Dad." That's the first line of the movie. It's not subtle. It's a great
No.
opening statement that then leads into an absolutely hilarious and painfully close to the bone opening scene. But I do think there's a lot more to it. Best 10-minute stretch. Okay.
All right.
Straight in with an all-timer. Did you know that that's Alec Baldwin's brother or not, Ivan? Billy Baldwin.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
I didn't clock.
The best Billy Baldwin has ever been. Ivan and Bernard playing in his jeans and profusely sweating through his entire shirt. It's McEnroe stroke, you know. Do you want to play a game? Yeah, we got time. Absolutely brilliant.
I was keeping a tally of like Tom isms.
Have you got
and why
a tally
you
or
like
noting them
it's
down?
it's a mental tally. But yeah, all the references to tennis
I do love tennis.
and film and books.
It is. I don't want to be snobby, and I don't want this to sound like I'm self-important. But yeah. Like there is, but no, because on the other side, this movie is as much about Frank not liking books or not liking movies. You know, is there a greater exchange in the entire movie than he's a Philistine? Oh,
Maybe I'm a Philistine.
yeah, no, well, no, you like books and things. You like the 500 blows. Yeah, no, I'm a Philistine, and just seeing Bernard's reaction. Anyway. Perfect movie. Bernard telling Walt about the affair and then Walt moving. Just evil Bernard. Anyway, the talent show and the contemplation of a dinner afterwards. Hey, you lad there in the cold.
Genuinely great use of song because it sounds like it could have been written by a 16-year-old.
Brutal,
Especially
needless drive-by on Pink Floyd.
Don't care, frankly. Well, it's the fact that it was that underground that no one realized it was them.
Yeah, well, yeah. Apart from Anna Paquin and Billy, when they're in the car later, the ambulance, the car, and Walt says to Ivan, "I didn't write the song," and Ivan goes, "I know." Is he saying, "I know because Laura Linney told me," or "I know that song, I know that album"? Because Ivan seems like a hit brother, so I think he's cool song. When he says to him, cool song, brother.
Yeah, I think he knew, but I don't think he would have told Laura Linney. I think he would have been like,
no,
secret safe with me.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, it's he could have gotten away, well, not gotten away with it, but like, you know, why does he say he wrote it? Why?
Oh. Yeah, it's just a bog standard talent show. Surely you could have entered doing a cover.
No, but it's more impressive, isn't it? If he comes up and says
$500,
this is a song, what $100? They're not giving away $500. If he comes up and says this is a song I wrote, that's more impressive than this is a song I learned on guitar by Pink Floyd.
You don't say anything. Just start playing.
True.
Better showmanship. I don't have to hear Jesse Eisenberg's voice.
Do you not think Jesse Eisenberg has a nice voice?
I'm lashing out because I love him and he'll never know.
Let's touch on this now. You love him, and yet I've shown you now his two best movies, arguably second to The Social Network, and both of them you're nonplussed. So
Which was the other one?
Adventureland. So I need to know what you actually
that was
like.
Just the writing.
I need to know what you actually like Jesse Eisenberg in.
That one interview when he was on the press tour for Now You See Me, and he absolutely slated that girl. That is some of the best cinema of this day and age. Just want to
say. Yeah. What's better, that No, Ellen, that's not right, or how very forward of you?
Oh,
Anne Hathaway.
I think they're all in the same league, along with a drag queen. A drag queen.
I am the queen of drag. Oh, I could do this all day. And then in the final argument, into the road, you only want to join custody because you pay less child support that way. I've been working on my Laura Linney. What are your nominations?
Bit gruff.
It's a bit gruff.
Just a bit gruff.
What are your nominations for best 10 minutes? Again,
I had
very hard for 10 minutes because this movie is made up of 2-minute scenes.
literally. I also had the opening sequence, the game. Oh, when he hits her, and he's
It's
like,
so
"Oh,
funny, Rhian.
it's okay, it's okay."
hilarious.
I want to just
Walt,
wail on him.
Walt. Can't do it.
Practicing the break. Yeah, the post show to the slap around the face, incredible.
Love.
Even better the second time around. I don't know. I was probably not 10 minutes, but the kind of flirtation, like the Lou Reed moment on the bed to him
with Sophie?
giving her a bloody nose.
Oh no! Oh, sorry, with Anna Paquin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Poor Sophie.
Yeah.
Poor
Also.
Sophie. She's very good.
And the ending.
I'll put a pin in that. Okay. Thomas Ridley's specific favorite parts of the film. Got a lot. I've got a lot.
I'm sure you do.
If you can try and hit it at your mother's backhand, it's pretty weak. And then when he hits it at a backhand, and Walt goes, "Yes."
Well,
I love. Fuck! Come on, Bernard. When he's playing tennis again, which is the exact same moment from the "Why I Love Charlie" montage of "He's too competitive."
yes, I'm too competitive. Come on, Charlie.
I believe it's the same. It's the Bubble. I believe it's the same New York tennis place, but I could be wrong. And I think I mentioned this in the Marriage Story pod, but obviously that it meant nothing to you at the time.
Yeah.
I'm fixing the sofa after sleeping on it. I'm fixing the sofa. Well, wouldn't it be better if you slept upstairs? If you were... No.
Better for my back.
Okay, my brother, let's see some ground strokes. You gotta ease up, my brother. Hey, what a perfect line of dialogue. Hey, my brother, who taught you these junkyard shots? Please tell me you loved Ivan.
Oh, and obsessed. He was a rock in the storm.
He's a great guy. Bernard's sweating profusely in the car after and tries to look cool.
Yeah.
Bernard's back cover photo. You still haven't watched Terms of Endearment because I don't want to say this. How do I say this? You're a bad friend. No. Terms of Endearment is one of the greatest films ever and one of my favorites. And Jeff Daniels plays a scummy English teacher who cheats on his wife. And
That's all he does.
And there's a scene, and that's a screenshot from the Baby Bjorn scene and that's his back cover. And nobody would notice that apart from me. Laura Linney, again, brilliant reality. Laura Linney coming out of the bathroom for the divorce meeting with a horrific fart and Walt going, "Jesus, Mom." Sorry.
That was just, perfect realism.
When they move houses, the Nastasi poster. I hate Nastasi.
There's a lefty desk.
I love Frank learning to swear. Fuck that shit. And then
Fucking ass man.
all caps. You're being a shit, Walt.
That was good. That was good.
Thank you. Frank drinking beer, very funny. Listening to the soundtrack. Love on a Real.
Soda? Beer.
When did you start drinking beer? Honesty Zone. I watched this on a train the day after I made myself a steak, and I also had with my steak 2 raw carrots. So the divorce meal that Jeff Daniels cooks is the exact same meal I cooked myself the night before.
Carrots.
Raw carrots are great.
I mean, yeah, but for the meal.
Anytime Bernard says "motherfucker" during table tennis.
Mm-hmm.
Lovely moment. Bernard taking the money from Sophie for the Chinese. Not even like just.
I had that. Bernard letting Sophie pay, and then just the little look from Walt, like, oh.
Frank coming home to find Ivan's cowboy boots on the floor. Just the idea that he has cowboy boots.
Yeah. that was rough to me. I did love Ivan, but I was initially really worried as to how Walt was going to react.
Bernard hoisted by his own petard, you know. If he did pay, not that it's a problem that they're divorcing, she can do whatever she wants, but maybe if he did pay him the tennis at the car, then he wouldn't have had to go to the house and see Laura, and she was ready to go willing. I love the premature ejaculation, and you know, I don't know why that happened. I normally last much longer, and just that wonderful teenage fumbling, which I know we have to discuss. And we will discuss with sincerity, and you'll discuss with brutality. I love how cheap Bernard is. Jesus, $15 for parking.
Giving Frank $3 for Tylenol, and then him having to go back.
Got any change? Maybe Laura Linney's best line. So they're like the same women too. No, never mind.
Yuck.
Ivan and Frank's handshake, there's no scene where we realize that Frank has grown to enjoy that Ivan is his new whatever, until we get the handshake.
You don't really need it because it just presents itself so seamlessly.
And then you know, Frank, I wish I was coming with you. It's your dad's weekend, and that leads to a great single minute, leaving poor Frank alone to drink whiskey. The Pink Floyd, Baumbach's not necessarily a visually, you know, dynamic filmmaker. I mean, he is. That's bullshit. But like, you know, he's not flashy moves or anything like that. But that terrific zoom after the Pink Floyd teachers meeting, and she just says Bernard needs to do it, and just that slow, perfect still zoom. Great. Did you get a PhD? No, an MA is a master's. Great. Just that harsh cut from probably doesn't know anything, probably doesn't even have a PhD. Again, Laura laughing at Bernard's sincerity. You think it's going to be the moment in the film where you're like, they're going to have some sort of touching moment. And she goes, I'm sorry. It's just burgers.
That was, I think, my favorite moment in the whole thing.
And then the lovely moment on the ambulance where you can see that there was once a relationship, you know, between them. I got you in for a children's ticket. You were pregnant with Walt. You know, that's a night, and it's clearly a romantic memory they have, you know, by 6 weeks. You know, and obviously he's just
I thought
cheap.
that was him just being, cheap.
It is, but I find, no, there is a world where that is a cute story. They are just no longer at that stage. And
well, it's what's the How I Met Your Mother thing, like the Doppler Dharma effect, where like something is either really endearing when you're attracted to someone or you're in love with someone, and that same action could be like creepy or like tedious or whatever.
I bought you a book. Or so, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Rhian's weirdly specific favorite parts of the
film. The nicknames for the kids. Chicken and Pickle. Just a big fan.
I do hate pickles, but I like chicken and pickle.
And then the subsequent, I'm not chick, you ass man. Like him trying to create this hierarchy that doesn't exist. Again, another purloined marriage storyline, or kind of, you didn't take my note. Yeah. So she doesn't die at the end. So you didn't take my note.
There's a lot to read into, you know, becoming his father. So let's touch on this. I'll put just one pin because I think obviously it consumes the entire conversation. So it's semi-autobiographical. He said that some things are influenced, some things are not. Both of his parents were film critics and book critics and writers. So that was clearly an influence. He then, you know, his line was always in the interviews, once he said that it was semi-autobiographical, that if it was more semi-autobiographical, then people would think it would be unrealistic. And so it starts with anything. You know, I've written things influenced by my life, and then it gets to a certain point, and, you know, after, you know, draft and people noting, saying that's ridiculous, and you having to tell them, no, that actually happened. These things become no longer semi-autobiographical. So there is obviously many elements of truth, and it's an incredibly painful, truthful script in the sense whether it's actually truthful. Same with Marriage Story. Yes, Jennifer Jason Leigh was an actress. Yes, he is a director. But once you do draft after draft after draft and insert everybody, and yes, Laura Dern is definitely playing the woman who defended Scarlett Johansson and Laura Dern and Noah Baumbach. They're the same. Have I ever sent you images of her and like footage of her?
Yeah.
She is there. She is that woman. But it becomes its own thing.
Yeah, exactly. And when you get a little bit more dramatic with it, and you include these like lovely motifs, like tennis or music or whatever, like it becomes its own entity. And I really appreciate that about these stories, is that they do feel very real, but not so real that I'm like uncomfortable to watch it.
Sorry, more specific favorite, if you have any.
I do. Joan hiding the books. Just great. We'll put them back after your father leaves. Love Walt like mimicking Bernard's review of either Metamorphosis or the other one, but running out of things to say because their initial conversation was cut off, and because he hasn't finished the book.
I mean, is it the line of the
Sophie's
film?
asking about it, like, what do you think the thing was with the sister at the end? Who's like, yeah, maybe.
It's very Kafkaesque. Well, Kafka wrote it. I know.
It's written by Franz Kafka.
It's absolutely sensational.
Because that is also every like film bro that I've ever met.
Yeah. Or you when you read the Wikipedia of a horror film.
It's very Ty West influence.
Yes.
Yeah, because Ty West wrote them.
Do you do that do you do that with movies other than horror movies?
No.
Okay.
It's literally just horror movies. I read the synopsis for Blink twice the other day, and it's dire, so I've saved myself the watch.
It's not dire. Anyway, you know what you are
like
missing?
it is.
No, but this is the thing. As you'll read my review, if you read my review, the script is mostly dire. It's really well directed, and
but then why would I want to watch it then?
Okay,
because I feel like that is the material is
to empower women.
Wah, wah. I don't know. I obviously, this is me speaking from very little like actual knowledge, but just from like, if someone pitched that to me devoid of anything else, I'd be like, that's a stupid concept.
Oh, it is stupid. The rules,
like, it feels very faux empowering. You know what I mean?
Oh, don't get me started on the ending. Anyway, you've got 1 minute to do your 1 minute 31 seconds to do your things.
Oh, the other two you already said, Bernard letting Sophie pay and the burgers. Just the yes, the utmost sincerity of Bernard, but while saying, I made burgers that one time when you got pneumonia.
No, but he doesn't say that. He says, all those dinners I made. You never made me dinner. One time I made burgers when he had pneumonia.
Yeah, and it's like, to him that is genuinely like enough, and like it really speaks to like every, not necessarily even child of divorce, but every child of like the weaponized incompetent parent, and the parent that's like pulling their hair out because they're like, I do everything in this house, and it's like it's a ticking time bomb until usually the mum blows up, and then it's like, well, where is this coming from? And it's like all the things that you weren't fucking doing.
No, it's great stuff. I will send you the link after our first break. A few more positives, and then you can start. Best single minute, I have obviously the opening tennis, which is great. I have the divorce meeting itself. Just very well handled, very well done. Shot, I found, in a similar way to the very, very, very opening of Marriage Story. Oh, no, sorry, that's a lie. The third scene of Marriage Story, the reveal of what the letters are. Just in that sort of back and forth and that sort of thing. Baumbach said he didn't really look at divorce dramas for influence, and instead looked at the works of Jean-Luc Godard and documentaries and the French New Wave. And this movie does have a lot of quick cutting and sporadic editing and that sort of thing, and it does have a real French New Wave clip to it. I hate the French New Wave, but I like when people use the tools of it.
Yeah, I think, like, now that you've said that, I can see that coming through, and more so just the lack of divorce drama-ness to it. I think that he's definitely steered clear of like melodrama.
Well, this is the thing. There is an 81-minute cut of Marriage Story that is this, where it's just the humor, you might say.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And I think it feels like kind of scenes on the cutting room floor. Like it makes you feel like they are just experiences happening in real time, that, or memories that you don't necessarily attribute all of like the meaning and like the pain to.
But for the most part,
because like you're young people.
For the most part, it's the scenes in between what you'd normally see.
Yes, no, exactly. It's just like, it's the tedium and the kind of awkward logistics of like, okay, now we're in this like, you know, shitty apartment and it's not decorated yet, and it's like that limbo of like,
I tried to find you.
Not gotten to the real.
I tried to find you a place that looked like your mother's. It was important for me that we had a similar location.
But that's the thing, yeah. You've hit the nail on the head. Like, it's such a transitional movie because it's a transitional like phase of their lives, and they're like, when are we going to get to the story? When are we going to get to the moment where we are happy as a family or as individuals? I think I'm trying to articulate what like didn't land for me, or like what made me not feel a strong pull to return to this film, and that Marriage Story did. I think it helps that it just became very quotable between us. And I think there is a little bit more of that kind of glamour to Charlie and Nicole's lives than there is to Joan and Bernard. And like, just that thing of like, oh, they're living in LA, New York, and they're making it work, but like they've got this like huge thing that's going to, you know, tear at the fabric of what is otherwise pretty magnificent lives.
There is a bit more of a grandness to the film. The Randy Newman score, and you know, and there is a bit more of a bluntness to this.
This one just felt a little bit more bleak in the sense of like, okay, you can either stay in this like suburban bloom and like this family that is dysfunctional and it wasn't going to work, or you can call it a clean break, but it can't be a clean break because you have these very, you know, real kids involved that are still not like, they can't be emancipated, they can't look after themselves yet, and so that's where it gets like ugly and messy.
And you've got the fact that isn't really touched on a lot about the fact that Bernard's already been married and he's already done the whole misery of a divorce, and so and just when it comes to boring drudgery and planning, it's easier to stay married. He knows how like shitty divorce can be. But
also, I'm glad you brought that up, because you've also got the other side of the coin of, you know, Walt trying to unpack that part of his dad's life and, you know, the previous divorces, and he's saying like, which one? Or like, I didn't really count that as a wife. And like the kind of like blasé attitude, and it's like, you know, if I'm Walt, I'm thinking, is that all my mother is going to be reduced to? Is like just another woman in a string of lovers that you've just now gotten bored of or left behind.
But it's not like, I mean,
it's not that, because you've built a family with this woman. Like, and also, you know, even if you haven't the same level of respect for her as the others, that you physically can't get away from her now.
We also don't really get into Well, no, pardon me. I apologize. We do know the one reason. What does she say about that Frank hears about the dad of the friend that Joan was also fucking? It's like she
Yeah.
says he's not secure in himself. What does she say?
Oh God.
Can't remember. She says some
Yeah.
sort of critique of him, and beyond
Yeah.
that,
Then why was she fucking him?
we don't know why any of Joan's affairs haven't lasted. And what's to say Ivan's will? I hope they get married and
Well,
stay
yeah,
happy
you don't.
forever.
It's kind of it's untouched, kind of whether they are emotional affairs as well, or are they just kind of like an escape. At which point she always says, no, I can't commit fully to this because I have this whole other life. Like maybe Ivan is like the first that she's actually able to give like everything to because she's officially ended it.
More single
Yeah.
minutes. The cat food discussion. Stop feeding the generic stuff.
It's good.
Um,
Stop feeding him the generic stuff.
he said to me, Bernie, I think you can save your marriage. Just great shit.
That's such good dialogue because it starts again. It reminded me of Marriage Story, like that pivotal scene where it begins in a very civil, calm place, but all the stuff is bubbling underneath, and it just the way it seamlessly transitions from like mundane stuff and like celebrating, the achievements of your kids, being like, yeah, isn't he great? To bip bip bip.
And then I keep saying this is the best part of the movie, but it's one of my favorites anyway. Me and Sophie are going to a party in a movie. Do you want to come? Another party for the movie. We were thinking about going
Like,
to watch.
assuming you were even invited, like crazy.
We were thinking about going to watch Short Circuit. Do you know what Short Circuit is?
No.
It's just like 80s comedy about a robot.
Yeah.
Blue Velvet is supposed to be very interesting, and then it goes straight to the wonderful film Blue Velvet. He put his disease in me.
I knew you would have loved that bit. It's so
That's
so
one of me and
Bernard.
Jay's favorite movies.
Blue Velvet.
Yeah. The David Lynch
You boys.
the David Lynch guy that me and Jay always talk about.
Yeah.
That's him. He put his disease in me. Wonderful Isabella Rossellini. Any other nominations for Best Single Minute?
Just the announcement of the separation on the couch. And like them, being very calm and like the way they're delivering it, and then already like it's falling apart because it's like it's 4 to 5 blocks, no more than 6, and then well, you got an apartment on the other side of the river. Also losing the cat. Yeah, that whole
you lost him down the radiator.
The whole Walt like falling on the grenade, going, I'll go with Dad, and then they're taking the cat. Thank you, brother. So good, so good. To then the cat like escaping, and then this being Bernard's one thing that he says that he was always able to do as like the head of the household, and he can't do it. Just like great.
2 nominations for Soundtrack Corner. Hey You, used brilliantly, as we've already discussed. But more importantly, leading us into a larger conversation, the wonderful song Love on a Real Train, which is an instrumental song from the soundtrack to Tangerine Dream and plays under all of Frank's adolescence experiences.
Yes.
And is a great, great song from a great film, used brilliantly here as well. Let's talk about Frank.
I would agree with that.
Let's talk about Frank and his sexuality. If your parents were divorcing around you being 13 or 14, you're also going through some other things at 13 or 14. And so all of these things become worse and not as natural or as organic or healthy as they should be. There is an extended subplot with Frank discovering his semen and putting it all over the school like a lion and his fumblings with masturbation and using like the side masturbating in public. Well, not fully masturbating, but at least getting himself off against public property. This is your largest issue, so we'll begin. What's the change now? All I will say is, all I will say.
I know a little boy named Thomas John Carruthers.
I have a friend. We rewatched Fatal Attraction as a family. Not as a family, with my friends who are my family. Anyway. And there's a great scene, which isn't meant to be funny, of Michael Douglas going to the police and pretending that if you say, I have a client who has a stalker. And it's just brilliant. And what if he feels that? And it's anyway. But anyway, Frank. So there's not many movies really about little boys jacking off, which is a huge part of life, and it's obviously fucked up, but it is true. And I think this movie does it tactfully and not exploitively, and goes about a very natural part of life. We have, I would say, the irony being, of course, that in the real world, it's a lot more looked down upon and frowned upon. But there are a lot more movies about, feminine exploration of puberty and what a woman goes
It's interesting
through.
you say that, because I would say yes, but in a very watered down sense. Like, in terms of female puberty, yes, we've got things like Are You There, God Is Me, Margaret, and the countless things about periods and like coming of age in that sense. But in terms of sexuality, it is slim to none. And I think I think seeing it with,
I won't call it sexuality. Let's call it, no, let's not call it adolescent masturbation.
It is sexuality, but not obviously in a way that should be shared yet.
Well, this is the thing. It's obviously always shot with normally actual kids. Like, there's a bit in Mad Men where young Sally touches herself for the first time. And the first time I watched it, I had no idea what was going on, because obviously it's public television, and Kiernan Shipka was a child. And so the shot is just her on the sofa, and we're just seeing her face cutting back to the TV. And then the mother walks in and goes, "Sally Draper, what are you young girls don't do that." And it took me like a watch to go, right.
And I think,
but it goes without saying that Kiernan Shipka should not be doing anything at her age. But
that's the thing, and I thought that with the actor playing Frank as well. It's like it's obviously uncomfortable for a plethora of reasons, but it's also like, this is someone who may have a long-lasting career in acting and be in the limelight, or may not. But that's with him forever now. And how does he navigate that as a teenager himself? Like, how does he, leave set and have normal interactions with his friends who've seen him do that in a film? Do you know what I mean? I don't know.
We can do this.
It's just, I wasn't actually going to bring that up. But just your conversation about Mad Men kind of sparked it. I think there is a very fine line, and I think the fact that
you think this movie is worse? Do you think this movie is reprehensible? Do you think this movie is exploitive? They are my three big points. They are my three things that I think this film. My answer to all three of those is no, and I don't know how you feel. And also, I know that giving a yes or no answer to some of those is a minefield.
It's really tough. It is tough. And I obviously haven't looked into the actor, what he's said about it since, or whether they even broached that as a topic, whether it even because that it's not high up in Baumbach's canon as
it is. It is, but it's okay. It is amongst film people. I mean,
amongst film people, I guess.
But
But,
also,
like,
who isn't
it's
talking
it's
it?
not it's not reached like the corners of the internet. I feel that would be like, let's open this conversation back up of whether that was appropriate.
Do we
Do you know what I
want
mean?
that to happen?
Well, no, exactly. But I'm saying that I haven't got other opinions to really reference
Yeah.
because I don't think people are talking about it about this film in particular.
Okay. Well, how did?
It's very nuanced. I think, yeah. I mean, again, first watch, horrified. And I get everything that it's trying to achieve. You know, he's warped. He's figuring everything out. And I think the subsequent meeting, calling the parents in and be like, "You sure it's not someone else?" I don't think there's another child wiping his semen all over the school.
It's
No.
of course a possibility that there are two children, but
I think that was great.
I think it is. I think, to be honest with you, it's the sort of unromantic depiction of puberty that we really
Yes.
never get. And
Yes.
I don't think that Are You There, God It's Me, Margaret, in its book form that thousands of children have read, millions even, and young girls. I don't think that is a place for a unflattering depiction. I think it's a place for a truthful depiction, which it is. But I think it is a position of joy and happiness and that incredible moment.
But also,
go on,
I
sorry.
think that is very family friendly as well. Like,
Oh yeah,
that
No,
doesn't really
yeah.
that doesn't touch on things like masturbation or like,
No.
even really the opposite sex. It's kind of like the beginnings of like crushes and things like that, but like nothing really comes of it. And I think that was perfect for that style of film and story.
Yeah.
I think eighth grade is another one that like is unromantic in its depiction by design, and it's done really well. That one's more just kind of like the content that gets talked about or like suggested. Talking about blowjobs and things like that when she doesn't really know.
Does it give advice for when you grow up and you're in love with somebody, but they're already dating an Irish actor?
No.
What are your changes then? If you were just going to plow past Frank, which was the thing that you messaged me out of the blue. No, Frank, not the library. And I knew exactly what was going on.
No, Frank, no. I was saying it along with him. Yeah, I mean, I think I could have very easily watched this film without that subplot and still been like worried for Frank. And that's the other thing. I think it ends up being more Walt's story anyway, because I think Frank has a lot more time to work out his issues and to be nurtured. And
he's having a great time with Ivan. Whereas,
I think that is
in
kind
many
of
ways, like he's got a great. Frank's got a great thing with at least one side of the family, and he's got a pretty good thing with his dad. Walt's unfortunate arc is that he hates his mother, and he's growing to realize the truth about his father. Whether realizing the truth about his father ends up aiding his mother in any way, and I don't know.
Yeah.
But what were your actual changes?
I just had all the semen written down, but that was kind of half jest. But no, I just piggybacking off of that, I think even with the whole subplot of Frank's confused sexuality, you don't really see the resolution to that. You don't see the end of that arc. But I think I'm okay with that because, like I say, he's still got a lot of growing to do. And I think seeing, I guess not an end, but like a closure.
What would the end be? He's going to keep jerking off. He's going to start jerking off more because he.
No, exactly. You can't stop. No, exactly. So I think I'm okay.
And he's just going to learn to drink healthily.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I would have liked a little bit more of kind of, I don't know, conversation between the brothers. I don't know, but like something to suggest that like Walt's gonna be okay. But yeah, not Frank's gonna be okay. But yeah, I think I loved the ending, focusing in on Walt and seeing things as they truly are via the incredible set design of the Squid and the Whale.
Frank's going to be just fine because Noah's real life brother was fine and has a cameo as the guy at the Bernard reading. Great turnout. Oh, I thought there were going to be more people. No, good turnout. Good turnout. We haven't talked about Anna Paquin at all. Put me in your mouth.
No, we haven't.
Just absolute bastard.
Just disgusting.
Okay, let's do some best lines. So you don't have any other changes? But it's only a 6 out of 10.
I mean, you were asking me what also didn't really do it for me.
Mm.
I think I need a bit more Randy Newman. I think the score really elevated Marriage Story for me in a way
you
that
don't
this
get any Newman
didn't.
until Meyerowitz Stories.
Okay, I will be waiting with bated breath.
White Noise, we got Danny Elfman.
Mm-hmm.
What else we got? What else we? Okay, so no. Okay, what else?
Well, yeah, I touched on kind of like the
Sounds like a 10 out of 10.
the bleakness. I don't know. It's just like it's one note, but I don't need it to do anything else like crazy, you know?
Yeah,
like it's very good. It's very well done for what it is. Like the story is executed in a great way. But I also like you know this about me. I struggle with things where I can't root for any person for a while.
Yeah.
And I think it was only at the end where I was like, oh, thank God, Walt's not a total D-bag.
Whereas I relish the moment where like we think we're going to get Bernard's resolution or arc or, rootability, and it's just laughed in his face. That is like my ideal. Which is why
it was great.
I mean, even in terms of endearment, I think you'll really like Terms of Endearment, to be honest with you. I think
now I'm contractually obligated to watch it, so I'm sure I'll have loads of fun.
It's not in the natural contract.
Best line.
It's mine or Dickens. What is it about high school that makes you read all the worst books by good authors?
It's very Kafkaesque. It's written by Franz Kafka. It would have to be.
I love just maybe a specific moment instead of line when he says he's going to do the talent show and Joan, great, just practice a lot. He'll win. Like just the polar opposites of the teaching style, parenting styles.
Yeah.
Things are good here. Teaching's going well, and I'm playing the best tennis of my life. Maybe that's an illusion, but it feels that way.
That is you.
I know.
Under our noses, like a brothel, men coming in and out.
She's a very risky rider, very racy. I mean, exhibiting her cunt in that fashion is very racy. I mean, Lily has her influences in postmodern literature. It's a bit derivative of Kafka, but for a student, very racy. Did you get that it was her cunt?
Right. I'm horrified by this. I don't mean your mom. She's very attractive.
It's Wells' masterpiece, really. Many people think it's Citizen Kane, but Magnificent Ambersons. If it hadn't been ruined by the studio, it would have been his crowning achievement. As it is, still brilliant. It's the old story. Genius now being recognized by the industry. Sounds great. Who's in it? Orson Welles? I don't know. I haven't seen it. I've seen stills. And that is a great joke because up in the 1980s, Magnificent Ambersons had never had an actual proper release.
That is me, though, when I'm speaking to you about something and then you're like, oh, you've seen it then? I'm like,
No.
Just watched some TikToks about it. You wouldn't have to blow your super. Oh, just the emphasis on super. It's disgusting.
You think you hate me, but I know you don't. Slap. Which again is weirdly a line from Terms of Endearment.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Very feminist, but very interesting.
He's just he's the best. He's the best. He's the absolute best. Best specific Halloween. Oh, do you have any more lines?
I do.
Shoot.
My father said you had a weak handshake, which is a sign of indecision. His hands are huge. I can't get a good grip. And then thank you, my brother.
Who's teaching you these junkyard shots, my brother? Which leads us into best specific Halloween costume. Any of the tennis outfits, but more specifically, Ivan in his suit at the talent show and his wet back hair. That's some song, brother.
I've got
sorry.
Squid and whale.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's good. I'll talk about this now. I don't know what's come out first, but I've done 2 podcasts today, both of which the other one was the whale. Very weird day. I forgot to put I put something in best Halloween costume when it should have been in What's the Change. I don't know if the ending works for me at all.
Oh, it really worked for me.
Really?
As I say, it was the moment where I was like, oh, here's someone I can actually like kind of root for, because even though we don't get like a full-on scene of like, I'm sorry, mom, like you get the beginnings of like just understanding and not belligerence and not like, and just him like thinking for himself and seeking this. I mean, they do lay it on thick. Like it's a very heavy-handed
just
metaphor.
Feels a little bit cute, whereas the rest of the film is nowhere near that tone.
Yeah, I think
it
that's
feels
what
more
I
in the
think,
tone of the whale.
that's the thing. I think I liked
why you
it.
liked
I
it.
think
Yeah,
that's what I would have wanted more of from this film. Just kind of a reprieve from all of the like god awfulness of like the people.
Well, I'm just like, pile it on, baby, pile it on.
Yeah.
Tagline rundown: joint custody blows. Good tagline. Few fun facts. Noah Baumbach has written a few movies with which famous director? Do you remember, Rhian?
Or this one?
No, has written a few movies with a director and directed with them. Wes Anderson. He wrote Life Aquatic and
I was
Fantastic
thinking
Mr. Fox. And anyway,
Yes.
So originally he wanted Wes Anderson to direct, but Anderson convinced Baumbach to direct it himself because the film was very personal.
See, I could see that as a Wes because of
it's called the Royal
choppiness.
Tenenbaums.
Yeah, but like because of the choppiness of it and like the bluntness.
Which
but I
leads
think
us on
I'm
to the other
glad
one.
to have seen his stamp on it.
Which leads us on to the other one, which is that Bill Murray was originally set to play the role of Bernard, but he backed out in the last minute because he wanted to take a break after filming Broken Flowers. John Turturro is also considered for the part. I can see both. Much prefer Jeff. Love Jeff Daniels. Yeah. Although the movie is heavily biographical, director and writer Noah Baumbach said he never pretended to have written Hey You. In reality, a friend of his did it with a song by The Who. Baumbach borrowed the story because it felt so much like something that could have come from his childhood. This is what we talk about with the semi-autobiographical nature. Everything is something or other. I don't have any other fun facts. Film was a pretty big success. It got nominated for the Oscar for Best Original Screenplay. Didn't win. Should have won.
Robbed.
Robbed. Always robbed. Baumbach always robbed. Leads us into Tom's big question. Don't really have one. Perfect double bill with Marriage Story. I mean, is there any other director like double bill more perfect than this? That's a huge question. But
that is a huge question.
But when it comes to consensus of themes, consensus of narrative and I think it's a startling double bill. We end here basically with on the precipice of 8 more films. Let's have a look.
Do you think it's going to be all downhill from here?
Well, I don't know I just have no read on you anymore when it comes to, like, I've been burned so many times with movies that I thought you'd like and movies that you no longer like. I mean, I guess you'll like You'll like, but right, I'm going to place bets now.
Well, I liked Frances Ha a lot.
Yeah, so you're going to like Mistress America because it's
Yeah.
Greta. White Noise is going to.
I've started White Noise, and I'm not sure.
Yeah, you're not going to like it. I can tell you right now. Nobody liked it. Why did you start White Noise? Why after all this time did you start White Noise?
It was literally I was home alone and I was seeing what I can get on my parents' streaming services that I can't get at home. And then I thought, oh, White Noise is on Netflix, which I can get, so I'll watch something else. And I watched Hot Summer Nights, which was disappointing.
So how far did you get into White Noise?
Maybe 20 minutes.
Yep. And he's just
I think
not...
I need to be in the right headspace for it. Because like Wes Anderson, I love, but I need to be in the right headspace to watch a Wes Anderson.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
White Noise is arguably Noah's most Wes movie.
That's what I mean. Like it's very mumblecore, clipped.
Very stylized. And
yes,
very literary as well. I have a version
like
of
the
this.
The kids talk like scholars.
Yeah, I have a version of this, which is that before the film came out, I was like, oh, I'll read the book. And I got about 2 hours into the audiobook. Maybe it was the reader. Maybe I need to read it on print. But didn't enjoy the book. Loved the film. Or did I? Or am I just Baumbach-pilled? I'm not. It was great. And it was the Thomas Carruthers, the Thomas Carruthers Award nominee for and winner for Best Adapted Screenplay that year. What were the nominees? What were the nominees? What? Oh no, I threw my iPad away and then right here we are. Let me just what nominees did Wait, no, it's a movie.
This portion of the episode is sponsored by Pure Pet Food.
My entire life is sponsored by Pure Pet Food. Great brand. In more ways than one now. Right, here we are. Best film. Didn't get a best film nomination. It won Best Adapted Screenplay. The other nominees were Bones and All, Glass Onion, Living, and The Phantom of the Open. Did Greta get in?
Stacked category.
No, Greta didn't get in. Did Adam get in? Adam didn't get in.
Damn. Why are you saying this as if
lot.
you didn't make it?
Because I'm looking now and I'm like, love my boy Adam. Was Tom Cruise?
Love my boy Adam.
Was Tom Cruise?
I think that's the last thing that pipped Marriage Story over Squid and the Whale for me is just like if it was Adam Driver as Bernard, very different film.
Leave Jeff Daniels alone. You should have more.
If I was remotely attracted to Bernard, very different film.
Should you be?
No, I know. But
I've been recently commended about my Adam Driver impression.
You mean your Renee Zellweger impression?
Yes. I still don't understand what she meant by that.
My father reviewed our improv film that we at time of
we
recording.
can let's end the episode now and we'll talk about that after. The wonderful Squid and the Whale. Any final notes on Squid and the Whale?
Not a one.
Wow, needlessly brutal. Next movie is our first movie, Kicking and Screaming, which maybe you'll like. It's less off-putting. It's more rich.
That should be the tagline.
It's less off-putting. It's more rich, smart people. I really don't think you're gonna like Margot at the Wedding. I was really thinking about Margot at the Wedding, and I was like, do you like Jack Black? Do you like Nicole Kidman? Do you like Jennifer Jason Leigh?
Yeah. Well, Jennifer Jason Leigh, I don't know, but Jack Black for sure.
You prefer Greta Gerwig, do you, to Jennifer Jason Leigh?
Yeah.
because I didn't know
Fair.
her. Ooh, very good.
Dabba 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 da da ba 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 ba.